Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Chet here from Avion Technology. We are a digital agency based out of the Chicagoland area. What do? We help other agencies scale up. I'm sorry, my board looks a little unclean because for some reason I couldn't remove this, but I hope you don't mind that. So today this is a part of my 8 lecture series on small agencies and the problems that a lot of small agencies face, right? So the first one I discussed the typical pain points that a lot of small agencies face. The second one I discussed, what did I discuss? I discussed processes, right? So today I'm going to discuss project management, right? So project management is the Achilles heel for a lot of smaller agencies, right? Project management is where things go south. Project management is where profitability takes a hit. Project management is where most of your problems come from. So today I'm going to discuss about project management. This is again, this is an 8-minute video, so I'm just going to touch on like a couple of themes. If you want to discuss this in detail, give me a shout. These are my coordinates. The first thing I want to talk about is a process, right? Smaller agencies usually do not have a process and definitely do not have a process which is written out. So first thing you got to do is you got to define your project management process. Number one, once you have defined it, make sure you have an infographic that you give the client during the onboarding process. Extremely important. Remember, you're a techie, your client is not. He does not know what to expect, right? So it's your responsibility to make sure the client knows what to expect. So have a process, right? Number one. Number two, tools, right? Excel sheets, we all like to work with Excel sheets, but Excel sheets don't work for us anymore. So definitely use some kind of project management tool. There's Asana, there's Jira, there's Trello, there's just a bunch of them, right? Use some tool, but make sure you use a tool. Don't use emails because email, we all know the famous email trails and what happens when you send each other emails. And definitely don't use Excel sheets or Word documents, right? Use some kind of a project management tool. Number two. Number three, scope creep. I read somewhere about death and taxes, right? These are the two inevitabilities of life. So similarly, scope creep is inevitable in projects, right? That's just project management 101. So make sure that you have accounted for scope creep, right? Make sure you kind of have a 10 to 15% buffer for scope creep because it's just gonna happen, right? That's just how project management is. A lot of times I have seen just to win a project, agencies will quote really low, and then when the client starts making requests, there's a lot of confrontation happening because scope creep was not factored in. So make sure you're factoring in scope creep. Next is negotiation style. Now this is something very important. We are never taught how to negotiate, right? The reality is that two people see the world in extremely different ways, right? And everyone has their point of view. Now for the world to function, there has to be some give and take. Similarly, for projects to come to their fruition, right? For projects to conclude, there has to be some give and take. Right? We cannot expect the client to completely 100% always agree with us, just as the client cannot always expect 100% that we agree with him. So you have to learn some negotiation style so that you can get past those roadblocks that happen in projects, right? So there's several of them out there. There's BATNA, which stands for Best Alternative to Negotiated Agreement. There's ZOPA, which is Zone of Possible Arrangements, I think. I mean, there's several. A good book you want to read is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He's an FBI negotiator, and he basically talks about how to negotiate. But this I have seen is something that most entrepreneurs never learn. Right, so that causes a lot of stress, right? Because we don't have a framework through which we can take any conflict, any confrontation. So every time there's a conflict or a confrontation, the only way we know how to deal with it is by using a lot of emotion, by using a lot of anger, and that actually makes things worse, right? So have a negotiation framework that almost as muscle memory, because you can use that negotiation framework anytime you meet someone who doesn't agree with you. Next is onboarding, right? There's Pareto, right? We've all heard of Pareto distribution, where 80% of our problems can be traced to 20% of the causes. I believe in super Pareto, right? Because within that 80-20, right? Within those 80% of the problems, you will see that 50% of the problems are caused because of one thing, right? So I have seen that the one solution that you can do to ensure that 50% of your problems don't happen is onboarding, right? All these different things, the project management process, the customer journey, scope creep, what to expect, payment milestones, how to have the server ready before migration, make sure your domain name is already booked before migration, all these different things, right? You want to make sure that the client knows about this when you're onboarding them, right? That's going to ensure less stress, right? For example, a very typical situation that a lot of agencies find themselves in is that clients say that I'm only going to make a payment when I'm happy, and that's horrible because being happy is a very subjective state of mind, right? So instead you need milestones on your project. Then make sure you explain those milestones to the client so that the client knows when to pay and when you're going to get paid. So little things like that, right? The onboarding stage is extremely important. So make sure you have your onboarding checklist, right? Make sure you have your onboarding written down as a process, because that's going to save you a lot of heartache. Like I said, here at Avion, we've helped a lot of digital agencies succeed. If you're watching this and if you need any help, give us a shout. These are our coordinates. If you like this content, press like. If you want to press subscribe, if you want to subscribe, press subscribe. Avion Technology here in the Chicagoland area, and wishing you a lot of success for the rest of the year. Thank you so much.